Okay, so we have added huge attack to our snare, added sustain to our snare, pumped up our kick, and we pumped up our guitars. Now let's work on the bass. The bass was, in the last video, I muted it because it was pissing me off. Now let's see why. And probably, it's not 100% tight. It's not bad, but it's a hair loose in spots. But I think we're going to be okay because that definition that makes it cut through so well where you can hear every note is bothering me. I don't think it fits the particular context of this song. A Primus type of a bass tone where you hear every little nuance doesn't always hold up for the most brutal stuff. It's kind of always a balance between articulation and just like raw, woolly mammoth size. So let's see what we've got going here. I do have a little bit of auto-tune on it. That's a common thing for me. I hear bass problems all the time, and I just tweak it a hair. This is just to catch weird stuff. I don't like when they conflict. I don't rely on it. I don't like instruments that have bad pitch. I don't like to use it for that because it really, T-Pain on a bass doesn't usually do it for me. But that's not what we're doing this for. We're doing this for whenever you hit a note too damn hard and it goes boom. You always hear that shift if you're paying attention. So let's solo the bass and see where we are first. All right, that's a pretty decent bass sound. I think Donnie D's on the back. I think Danny Danzy mentioned once upon a time on the forum about how he wants his basses to have a piano-like character. And for some reason, that was a life changer for me. Because I've always talked about bass definition. I want my basses to have a... I've recorded a million basses for some reason. That so many of them have turned out where you can feel them, but it sounds like the booming car stereo 3 blocks away type of thing. There's nothing really going on like on a laptop, it seems like. And so over the years, I've really gotten fond of anything that really has that character, like a defined sound that you can hear in the mid-range speakers and stuff. And so I always like to hear a bass like this where we can really work with it in a mix without it just being felt. And it's really, I think in my head, you have to go too far. Like this bass sound is probably a little bit wimpy. So what I want to do is I'm going to make that meaner, bigger, a lot more low end probably, but also a lot more, we're going to emphasize a lot of that stuff that cuts. But some of the stuff that cuts is bad. I think it's a little bit clingy-wangy, and I don't like the way it works with guitars. Again, this is just these particular tracks. The next song, I might not do any. I might take a totally opposite approach, too. Now, one thing I like to do, let's actually physically look at the bass. Where you at? Okay, so here's our bass sound. It's pretty compressed, but we're dealing with metal here. I'm going to go ahead and stomp on it. I want to really bring out the solidness, the reliability, the foundation. I don't know, call it whatever you want. But I really want to even this stuff out. I don't know why I have the cheapo guy here. It must have been, this is the cheaper version of the UAD. I say cheaper as in it uses less DSP processing power, but for whatever, we'll use it. All right, so let's see what we got now. Not really doing anything special there, just evening it out. I want to bring all that stuff up. And for other kinds of music, you got to be careful. If you compress everything as hard as we're compressing this, you won't have a lot of room for anything else. But for metal, it kind of works on a different deal. Everything's big, and we're just going to smash it all together. A little bit big old junk pile. Let's just crush it. Okay, and now let's hear that in context and see where we stand. And all that dong 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 is pissing me off. And so what I did, I grabbed a multiband. And this is something I did not think about. I don't know how you guys work, but if I'm using the multiband compressor most of the time, I start thinking about like attack and release and all these 15 buttons I got over here, and all the options and possibilities and stupid stuff. I slapped this tone together in seconds. In fact, I'm going to show you what I did. I'm just going to start a new one. I didn't I didn't memorize any of those settings. I'm just going to play with this and see what I think here. And you can hear already what I was doing there. I'm just trying to get rid of some of the ding, 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 and make it more. In short, I'm kind of moving it towards that whole you can feel bass sound I was just complaining I hate, but whatever. And again, it's one of those things, if you look at this meter, or a little GUI here, you don't normally see idiots boosting the low end that much. And the deal is this bass sound just doesn't have any damn low end in it. And I think for this, I want it. I may not want it for all metal I do, but for this song, I really want to hear that. That's important. There should be a girth to it that does some of the work that the guitar's left off on. So let's listen to that now. And I'll show you before. And after. And it's important to note, our kick drum is still our kick drum. The kick drum has still got that low end power, which I'm going for. We could give the low end to the bass, and the kick would just kind of be a snappy thing. But I still like my kick drum to be have the big low end. So here we go. But so we could probably go way further with this if we really felt like it. I'm pretty sure that Ruprecht used the Ventec 1272 preamp on this guy whenever he did the Axe-Fx, and that has a way of taming the low end significantly. Something I'm kind of figuring out here just recently. In comparison to other preamps, which have much bigger low end. So we're probably kind of getting it where some of my other preamps would have gotten us anyway. So anyway, let's listen. Not bad, but let's go ahead and distort it. And you say, well, why do we need to distort it? Well, why the hell not? That's always the answer for distorting. And I'm using Decapitator here. I've played around with this and to kind of find a tone I liked, and I found it earlier. Let's see if it still makes sense in context. And now it seems to have brought up some of that 500 hertz stuff I didn't like before, so let's just stomp that crap harder. And that becomes a creative decision there of how much of that we want. For me, I'm pretty content with that right there. Now, it's important to note, how distorted does this bass sound? Uh-oh, I gave away my little secret there at the end. If you answered this much, you're correct. And this is one of those miracles of audio engineering that I never understand. I don't think I ever will. I don't understand how a bass can be that screwed up. And then in the mix, you don't hear any of that distortion unless the bass is playing by itself. Blows my mind. That bass just sounds like a clean bass to me, give or take. But when we had that distortion, for what I heard was balls. I heard a little bit more like I don't listen to my parents tone. And so we went with it. That's why I liked it. And then maybe there's a little bit more cuts in a good way. I don't know. But all right, so we got this bass. What all we done to it so far? Just a hair of auto-tune. We compressed it to kind of bring it forward a little bit, to just kind of smooth it out and give it this rock foundation. We don't really want dynamics in this case. We want a consistent, just. And if we have, then it gets all screwy. It messes with your groove and the whole headbang and, slow. I can't really see me doing it, but that kind of headbang, we lose that somewhat. Okay, and so then we went ahead and distorted it, and which, again, let's listen to this distortion before and after. Before, obviously. And after. Okay, a whole lot of you guys are big on this idea of duplicating your bass track and distorting it the hell out of it and then keeping one track clean. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but there's one particular danger you need to be out looking for. And that is when you go out of phase on your parallel tracks. See, all these different plugins, they might add a few little, milliseconds of delay here, or even just samples of delay. I'm talking, 1/44,000th of a second or whatever. And those can really wreak havoc when you bring up a distorted fader and you start hearing all this comb filtering and whatnot. It can really wreck your clean sound, actually. So this is one reason that I often prefer using Decapitator, because they got the wet dry thing right here where you can hear pretty obviously, all the way. But the beauty of Decapitator, the beauty of Decapitator is when we do some of those middle settings where we're, say, half distorted, that we're totally in phase. So just be careful whenever you're duplicating and distorting and all that kind of business, that you aren't really wrecking your clean sound by having some comb filtering there. Okay, so lastly, we added my multiband compressor, which before, boxy and terrible, after. And let's listen to our mixing context now. This guy is coming together. Man, I'm a good singer.